Hi, I like your shoes. Hi, what's your name? Want to play? Want to be my friend? Such simple phrases and questions that as young children, most will not hesitate to ask one another, and more times than not, it works. That's all it takes to make a friend. But as an adult, what would you do or think if another adult approached you, asking to be your friend? How would you respond? Would you give them the benefit of doubt? Or would you write them off completely without any hesitation? Today, I'm going to talk about 2009's buddy comedy bromance film, I Love You Man. And yes, this is a DVD. I have the Blu-ray somewhere. I Love You Man is my favorite lighthearted comedy film because it mixes charming comedy with rather awkward moments that for some of us is highly relatable to. The film navigates the tricky waters of making friends as an adult. I will now give you a description of the movie followed by my evaluation of the film. In the movie I Love You Man, Peter Clavin, played by the eternally youthful Paul Rudd, finds himself in a very peculiar situation. Shortly after proposing to his girlfriend, played by the gorgeous Rashida Jones, Peter overhears his fiancée talking to her friends about their upcoming wedding and how she thinks Peter has no friends, therefore no groomsmen. She even goes as far as to claim that his mom is his best friend. Peter quickly realizes this to be true, noticing that every guy he has in his life is more of an acquaintance than a friend. Peter then sets out on a quest to find a best man, a task that he didn't realize was so difficult. Peter basically goes out on random blind man dates, each one seemingly worse than the rest. At one point, he thought he made a great friend connection. That is, until the guy French kissed them towards the end of their blind date. Peter was seemingly doomed. That is, until he met a rather interesting guy at an open house named Sydney, played by the lovable Jason Segel. Sydney is Peter's yin to his yang, straightforward, realistic, hugely perceptive, but comes across as a grown child at times. But as they begin to bond, Peter sees potential in Sydney as his best man, but at the same time, Peter has to find a balance between his newfound best bro, and his soon-to-be wife. As Peter's friendship with Sydney grows, so does a strain on his romantic relationship with his fiancée. Can Peter have his cake and eat it too? Now that you have a little understanding of the film, I want to give you my evaluation of the movie. The film follows a standard rom-com plotline, but added a buddy element to it. I Love You Man has an easy-to-follow plot, no surprise twists and turns, or a head-scratching ending. The movie is a hilarious take on navigating the rocky waters of creating new friends as an adult. While a good portion of the comedy revolves around guys, there are elements that cater to most anyone. I thoroughly enjoyed the theme of friendship and how awkward it is to make friends as an adult. I am not the best when it comes to first impressions, so luckily Peter shows that repeated awkwardness can ultimately lead to a great experience with the right people. The film also brings forth the type of issues that some couples may face when their significant other becomes too occupied with their individual friendships. I've now given you my evaluation of the film I Love You Man. Despite being a film heavy on male bonding, I believe it's an enjoyable film for anyone that enjoys Paul Rudd, enjoys lighthearted comedy, and for those that are wondering, yes, as a male adult, trying to make friends outside of my initial friend group that I've known for over 15 years, things can get pretty awkward, and the film is pretty spot on with how some things go down. I still think about the time I complimented someone and did finger guns. I replay that scenario over in my head quite often and think about how much I hated that moment and wish I can take that back. But for those of you that want a good laugh, I highly recommend seeing I Love You Man.